So here we are again for the 1 trillionth time that a channel has been completely blackmailed and bullied by somebody falsely claiming and striking their videos on YouTube using DMCA. These guys right now are #2 on Reddit, and their story is pretty horrifying. I'll let them tell you.
A few weeks ago, our videos were being claimed by a channel called ZM Production. ZM Production said they're not doing it, they're being hacked by someone else, which I have no idea. We have no idea what's going on. And we contact YouTube as well. YouTube said they're gonna help us to solve this issue within 10 to 14 business days. Recently, we also received an email from ZM Production. If you don't pay them $1,000, they will claim our video again. And if they claim in one more video, our channel will be terminated. So last night, they did claim another video, which our channel is right now terminated.
So essentially, what happened is some completely random person impersonated their website, filed a complaint with YouTube, and YouTube actually removed it. Not only once, but 3 times. So you can actually blackmail people now because the system is so fucked up. Now, sadly, I think a lot of people just don't understand how the DMCA system works. And I've been wanting to make a kind of PSA announcement for a long time, because every time something like this happens, people are always looking to us or FUPA for some guidance, and I usually just deal with them on a one-on-one basis. But I feel like it's really, when you understand the system, it's very easy to handle. And I feel like this can help a lot of people if I just make a video explaining how does the DMC system work and how do you handle this if it happens to you. To start, there is a reason why YouTube is so willing to let their YouTubers get fucked in this fashion. It's because as a platform, they almost need to be neutral. Otherwise, they're going to be liable for any lawsuits for copyright infringement. So giving the corporations power to DMCA absolves YouTube of any legal liability. And frankly, without it, YouTube wouldn't be able to exist. It's a necessary evil. So at the same time, it's easy to be like, fuck YouTube and their shitty system. But it's actually really required, because YouTube can't get in the middle of it. Otherwise, they're liable. So sometimes it gets abused like this, and the system is far from perfect. It has a lot of problems, and I think that YouTube needs to hire more people to oversight all the DMCAs they get. But that being said, the system itself is absolutely necessary. YouTube couldn't exist without it. Once you've been served with a DMCA notice, otherwise known as a strike, your video is removed and you have 2 options. You can either accept it and take the strike, or you can file a counter notification. Now, one of the problems here is that people always get way too spooked to file the counter notification because the language is so strongly worded, saying such things as, I swear under perjury that everything I'm saying is true, and I acknowledge that if I abuse this form, it will result in the termination of my YouTube channel. The language is very scary, and even when we received our first strike on YouTube, I think that we didn't even dispute it for like 6 months, even though it was clearly fair use, simply because the language was so scary. So I think my first point to anyone out there who gets a strike is, don't be frightened. It's not as serious as YouTube says. Again, they're just covering their ass. Now you'll be prompted to explain why you're filling out the counter notification, and this is the most important part of the process. A lot of people, when they get to this part, they'll type something like, this is my video and it's not right because I'm losing money. That's not what YouTube wants to hear. Okay, it needs to be a legal explanation. This is exactly what I would type, and I would recommend my friends to type when disputing a strike. This video is fair use under US copyright law because it is transformative in nature, uses no more of the original than necessary, and has no negative effect on the market for the original work. Furthermore, this video is protected speech as outlined by the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. I almost want to fucking wave an American flag after reading that shit. And that's what YouTube wants to see. They want to see that you know why you're disputing it and that you are doing it on a legally sound basis. That being said, at this point, do not use this unless you are sure your video is fair use or you own all the property in it. Otherwise, you're abusing the system the same way that these fuckers who are blackmailing these guys are, okay? And you can be held liable for that. So at this point, the only 2 outcomes is that the video will be back in 10 to 14 days, it's going to be back up. Your strike will be removed. And the only other way that a person can pursue you further to remove the video at this point is to sue you. After I've explained it, it seems like the system is kind of worthless, and frankly, it is. The only thing it's designed to do is shift the burden of blame off YouTube and onto you. YouTube is essentially saying like, we'll bring your video back up, but you need to accept the consequence of it. The thing about that is though, that anyone can sue you regardless, honestly, even before this whole stage takes place. It's just shifting the burden off YouTube. As I've said, YouTube could not exist without this system because they would just be continually and non-stop sued by every huge corporation in the world. None of us would have a job. None of us would be watching YouTube. So this is the compromise that YouTube made between themselves and the huge corporations to actually make something like this possible. This is the legislation that exists that actually makes something possible where people can just upload anything they want and make money off it. You understand? There's so much at stake there that this is the best solution. And frankly, it's not a bad one. It just needs more oversight on the side of YouTube to make sure that stuff like this happens less. It really sucks for these guys. It's so frustrating. I've been there myself. And we reached out to our contacts at YouTube and Google to inform them about this stuff. And I'm sure that these guys are going to get this resolved in the next day or two. We're doing everything we can to make sure it does. But in the future, for everyone else that this happens to, if you happen to be smaller and you can't make it to the top of Reddit, like most people, can't. Most people this happens to are even smaller than they are, and they're just completely helpless and feeling fucked. So I hope now you have some tools, some peace of mind to be able to handle this on your own and not freak out too much, because this is in place for us to protect ourselves, to be frank. That's why it exists. So I hope you guys found that at least a little interesting. That's my little DMCA public service announcement that I've been wanting to do for a long time. And anyway guys, thank you for watching, and we appreciate you. See you guys next time.